This video is sponsored by Zendure.
Meet the Zendure SuperBase V, a modular, portable battery backup system that can also double as a home battery backup system. I've been testing this unit and pushing it to its limits to really determine whether or not the Zendure SuperBase V lives up to the manufacturer's claims in real-world applications. So let's go ahead and dive in and see how the SuperBase V really performs. I'm John, and this is Cleanerwatt. I came across Zendure last year due to the fact that they had implemented semi-solid state batteries into their newest product, the SuperBase V, and I was intrigued by this, so I reached out to the company and was able to interview the CEO of the company last October. I've been wanting to get my hands on the Zendure SuperBase V ever since I did that interview, so when Zendure recently reached out to me and offered to sponsor this video and let me test one of these units and share my results with you, I definitely couldn't pass up that opportunity. To be completely clear, Zendure is paying me to review this product. However, in this video, I'm going to share my honest opinion of the product. And this is going to be an honest review so you can see if this is a product that might work for you. Now, when you look at the manufacturer's specifications for the Zendure SuperBase V, whether we're talking about the unit I'm testing here, the lithium iron phosphate version, or the semi-solid state version, they look very impressive, not only because it offers a large amount of battery storage, but as their owner's manual and website states, this unit offers up to 3,800 watts of output for a single unit, and if you connect two units together, you can get up to 7,600 watts of AC output. In addition, with its modular design and soon-to-be released smart home panel, the ability of these power stations to double as a home battery backup system is also very intriguing. Now, one of the big reasons why I really love lithium iron phosphate batteries, and especially in an application like this, comes down to a great safety track record. But how safe are Zendure's semi-solid state batteries? Now, despite having a nickel manganese cobalt cathode chemistry, which was revealed to me by Zendure's CEO when I interviewed him in October of last year, this semi-solid state battery technology has been puncture tested and it performs extremely well. The punctured semi-solid state battery cell in this test that I'm showing here did not expand and catch fire like a traditional nickel manganese cobalt battery would in this same test. So when it comes to safety, it appears like both battery technologies are going to be solid there. However, when it comes to cycle life, the lithium iron phosphate batteries will have a longer cycle life than the semi-solid state batteries. However, do be aware that the semi-solid state batteries, as Zendure says on their website, they're still rated for 3,000 plus cycles. However, the lithium iron phosphate batteries, they list at 6,000 plus cycles for cycle life. Now, if you decide to go with the lithium iron phosphate battery version, you do need to be aware that you need to calibrate the unit, calibrate the BMS system for the first time when you get it. As I've talked about in the past, lithium iron phosphate batteries make it a bit more difficult for the BMS system to accurately calculate the true state of charge of those batteries. So when I received this unit, the state of charge displayed on the screen said a bit over 50%, and while I was doing a load test of the unit at about a 40% state of charge, this happened. As you can see, it went from approximately a 40% state of charge down to a 0% state of charge within seconds there. And that means that this unit is likely not calibrated. Now, to be clear, this is not a flaw in the SuperBase V, but rather it's just a characteristic of the batteries. Now, it means that Zendure did not calibrate the BMS system from the factory. I believe it would have been a good idea for them to do that, but it's very simple for you to do yourself. And so what you need to do is you need to go ahead and when you get the unit, you need to run the unit all the way down to 0% and then immediately charge it all the way up to 100%. And this will help train the BMS system to accurately display the true state of charge. However, make sure that you let it continue to charge as long as you're seeing a charge there in the input category, because when you're training the BMS, it'll actually charge for quite a while after this percentage says 100% because it's trying to actually find the true ceiling. Now I want to go ahead and talk about testing the max output of this unit. On Zendure's website and in the owner's manual, it states that this unit offers up to 3,800 watts of output or up to 7,600 watts of AC output when two units are connected together. However, those numbers need a little bit of clarification, so here's how this unit actually performed in my tests. Okay, as you can see here, I have a number of devices, very high power devices connected to the Zendure SuperBase V. And technically speaking, Zendure says that this unit has an inverter, an AC inverter that can put out up to 3,800 watts. Now in testing this here, if you just turn on the AC inverter by pushing that button there, and you hear a beep and a click here in a second, okay, that tells us that the AC inverter is on. If I just put it in the regular mode there, it will only allow up to 1,800 watts from these 4 sockets here. And so if you try to go over that, you get a little indicator up here that says overload. However, if you go ahead and hold this AC button for an extra few seconds there, you pull up a little icon that looks like an RV. So I believe that's RV mode. And if we do that, that should allow us to get up to that max 3,800 watts. So let's go ahead and test that. We'll turn back on the 1,500 watt heater. We'll turn on burner number 1. You'll notice now already we're over 1,800 watts and it's not tripping. We're at over 2,600. We can even turn on that second burner, which gets us over 3,200 watts. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this down just a little bit and try to get to about 2,900 because I'm going to turn on a toaster and see if we can get it right up to 3,800. Now let's go ahead and turn on the toaster, see if it'll run that. Okay, so we're at 35, 36 in RV mode. See if we can get above that. Put that back on high. Nope, it tripped it at that. Okay, I'm gonna do the test again, but this time I got a variable speed reciprocating saw that I'm gonna go ahead and connect. That should allow me maybe to get kind of inch up onto that 3,800 or so and see if we can actually get past that. Turn back on the screen. When it times out, you can just simply touch the power button to do that. I'm going to plug in the reciprocating saw, turn back on the AC inverter. Okay, so we got the cooktop going there. We'll see how much this adds. If we start at 1,740-ish, it just really doesn't want to go above that number. Now, after I did those tests, I reached out to Zendure for clarification, just to make sure that I was doing everything right and that I was accurately portraying the capacities of this unit. Zendure did clarify to me that the max for RV mode is indeed 3,600 watts, which I was able to hit that. And the 3,800 watt output number is only for the 240 volt outlet there, which we'll talk more about when I actually go over these different ports. However, beyond those numbers, you really can't run at that max continuously, or else this unit will protect itself and shut off the inverter. For instance, Zendure did tell me that if you run the unit at a max 3,600 watt load for around 4 minutes, the inverter will go ahead and turn itself off to safeguard the unit from overheating. In addition, I was told that if you run this unit at around a 3,300 watt output, an alarm will activate after 9 minutes and the over temperature feature will be triggered after around 40 minutes. However, if you keep that output at around 2,500 watts or under, you can run that continuously, of course, until you run out of energy. Okay, when it comes to charging this unit, there are a number of different ways you can do that. First of all, the most common way, I believe most people do it this way, is you can actually plug it in to an AC outlet. It comes with a cord that you plug into the back of that, and then you can plug that into a regular 120 volt outlet. According to Zendure, using this method, you should be able to charge the 4.6 kilowatt hour version in about 3 hours or so, and the 6.4 kilowatt hour version in around 4 hours. In my real world test, it took just a bit over 3 hours plugged into a 120 volt outlet to charge this up from 0% all the way to 100%. And it had a pretty flat charging curve. At the beginning, when it was at 0% up for a while, it was around that 1,500 or so watts of input power. And even near the end, right up until it turned off and was done charging, it was still taking in around 1300 plus watts of power. So the charging curve is pretty solid and pretty straight. So it actually, once again, it takes just a little bit over 3 hours to fully charge this 4.6 kilowatt hour unit plugged into a 120 volt outlet. Now also do note that this has a button on the back that if you want to conserve the battery life a little bit, you can actually flip that to a slower charge, and that actually drops the charging input power to about half that, so somewhere around that 700 watts or so. And if you charge at a slower rate, that will make sure that your batteries last even longer. But either way, you can do a slower charge, a faster charge with that 120 volt outlet. Now beyond the 120 volt AC charging, you can actually charge this. You have to buy a separate cord, but you can actually charge this with a 240 volt outlet as well, and that of course is going to charge a bit faster. In addition, this unit can be charged via solar panels. You can either connect this to an existing array that you have at your house, or you can purchase one of Zendure's portable solar panels and connect that to this. But it will accept up to 3,000 watts or 3 kilowatts of solar input. However, in addition to that, you can actually charge this from the grid and from solar at the same time. And if you have both coming in, this 4.6 kilowatt hour lithium iron phosphate version can accept up to 4,500 watts of charging. And if you have the semi-solid state version with that 6.4 kilowatt hours of capacity, that can actually accept up to 5,150 watts of charging. Now there is one other unique way that you can charge this unit, and it will require a separate adapter that you need to purchase from Zendure, but you can actually charge this unit from a car charger, from a DC fast charger, if you have the proper connection there. And that may be a good way if you want to take this camping or something like that and you need to charge it up quickly. Being able to charge this via an EV fast charger, that's a good idea. And at an EV fast charger, it would accept up to 3,600 watts of power, which would fully charge this particular unit in 2.2 hours, or the 6.4 kilowatt hour version in around 2.5 hours. Now I'd like to take you on a quick tour of the unit itself, starting with the front of the unit and describing some of the ports and the functions here in the screen. So first of all, the main screen that comes on, when you turn that on, you see the input rating there in watts. You'll see the output rating in watts, so when you're charging, that number will go up, and when you're using the power, that number will go up. And then you can see here that it's going to estimate, based on your load, how long you can run that load. It's going to do that there, and then it'll tell you what AC mode you have enabled. When it comes to front AC ports, this unit includes 4 standard 120 volt outlets on the right hand side under that cover, and on the left it features a 240 volt 16 amp outlet and a 30 amp 120 volt RV outlet under that left cover. And when it comes to other outlets here on the front, you have 2 USB-A ports and 4 USB-C ports. You also have these caster wheels here that are swivel on the front, and they do have little locks on them. So if you want to go ahead and lock that down and keep that from rolling around, you can do that if you need to keep it stationary, or you can simply unlock those if you want that to go around. It also has this great handle on the front, but you just simply push and release to get that out, and you can pull this around like a wagon. So very good there. And then now we're going to go to the side of the unit and show you the DC ports. Okay, so on this side panel here, you have the 12.6 volt 30 amp Anderson outlet. That's going to be a handy one there. You have your car outlet. You have 2 barrel plugs there, and those say 12.6 volts, 3 amps. And you have the button here to turn on DC. And these are all covered by this little door here. Now I will note that on my particular unit, the little prongs here on the back that are supposed to catch that and keep that flat, they're not doing that. So while it does kind of stay shut, I would say maybe these little prongs in the back need to be a little larger so they actually sticks better. So that's a slight build quality issue. Nothing major, but a slight build quality issue. In addition, when it comes to the front, I understand why it has these covers here, because it does protect the plugs. But I wish the little rubber hinges here, I wish they were a little longer, because even when it's fully out, it just kind of seems like it gets in the way of your plugs, and I could see this getting ripped off pretty easily. So I feel like maybe they should extend these little rubber pieces out a little longer. Once again, it's not a major issue, and these do fit better than that side one. but I think they should have made that a little bit longer or maybe flipped down. I'm not sure. Works fine, but it's not perfect. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at the back of the unit and the input ports. Okay, first of all, this is what you're going to use the most, and it has these same kind of covers here. But this is where you're going to plug in your regular 120 volt charger. And then on this side, you have the Zen charge port, which you can put the adapter there and charge the unit with an EV charger, as we talked about. And then down below, you have your DC inputs. So this particular space is where that satellite battery cable goes. You plug that in here, and then you can stack one extension battery on top of this, and the cord plugs into that. If you have a solar input, that's where that goes in, right there. So that's the basic ports here, pretty simple. Next, I want to talk about these wheels and the portability of this product. Okay, so when we talk about portability, I do need to note that these units are very heavy. I would recommend for most people a two-person lift. It does have these big handles here on either side, which allows each person to grab this and lift it. So if you need to put it in a vehicle, for instance, you can definitely do that. But thankfully, these wheels here, once again, have a power assist feature, which you can turn on by simply holding that DC output button for 3 seconds, and that activates the power assist wheels. And then what happens is that if you're pulling this unit, after it's being pulled for around 3 seconds or so, this kicks in. When you're ready to stop the unit, you just put a little bit of pressure to stop it, and then it will go ahead and stop the assistance. Personally, in my testing, I liked it better with this feature turned off, but it is there if you want it. However, do be aware that with the small little caster wheels here, this isn't going to do great through like grass, dirt, etc. It's not going to be good for off-road. It's going to be great for sidewalks, paved surfaces, etc. That's really what I believe this is designed for. In addition, you can actually drive this unit around like an RC car using the Android or Apple phone application. However, maybe I would get better with practice, but it was really difficult to steer this unit where I wanted it to go using the controls here, especially with the slight decline of the street I was testing it on. So I would call this feature more of a party trick, and personally, I wouldn't use this very much. As I previously mentioned, the semi-solid state battery version has a capacity of around 6.4 kilowatt hours and can be expanded up to 64 kilowatt hours. And the lithium iron phosphate battery version that I have here, the base unit has 4.6 kilowatt hours of energy, and you can expand that all the way up to 46 kilowatt hours. Now, I haven't come across any other portable energy solution that has that much expandability, so that's really impressive, up to 64 kilowatt hours for that semi-solid state version. But when it comes to actually connecting this to your home, no matter what size system that you put together, if you already have a transfer switch installed, then installation is plug and play with no professional installation required. However, in the future, for the ultimate integrated solution, you'll be able to purchase the Zendure Smart Home Panel, which is not available yet and will require professional installation. But this Zendure Smart Home Panel will act as a smart load side transfer switch with the option to connect up to 10 critical load circuits, which can be powered by your Zendure battery backup system in the event of a power outage. Zendure told me that the home panel will automatically switch over connected circuits from grid power to battery backup power in the event of a power outage with a response time of 20 milliseconds. If you opt for that home panel in the future, it also has 2 outlets on the side that allow you to connect EV chargers directly to that. Okay, now I'd like to demonstrate the UPS capabilities. So as you can see here, I have this heater plugged into one of these lower sockets. I have the AC inverter turned on, and I have this unit charging from the grid. There you can see an icon UPS comes up, which means right now that if I turn on this heater, so heater's on, and you can see that it's getting an output there, and that'll go up, and it should be pretty equal to what it's getting from the grid. So it should even out, meaning basically the power that I'm getting here is mostly coming from the grid there. So this is running. So while this is running, if I simply pull the cord out of the outlet to basically simulate a power outage, this heater should continue, and you shouldn't see the output change at all. So let's go ahead and demonstrate that. So as you can see there, input went away, but the output continued, and the heater never missed a beat. It continued on. So it just seamlessly switched over from the grid power over to our battery power. So that's how the UPS feature works, and that's a good simulation of the grid going out. Okay, with all that being said, let's go ahead and talk about price for a minute. So here in the USA, the LFP equipped version of the SuperBase V that I have been testing has a regular price of $49.99, and the semi-solid state version has a regular price of $69.99. However, Zendure regularly runs various sales throughout the year, and if you scroll down and check out the video description, I plan to keep that updated with the latest sales and/or discount codes so you can get the best deal. And if you do decide to go ahead and purchase a Zendure SuperBase V, I am going to put an affiliate link down in the video description, and if you use that affiliate link, Zendure will give me a commission at no extra cost to you, and that commission will help support this channel. So if you decide to purchase it, I would appreciate you using that link, and it will support Cleanerwatt going forward. I do also want to say thank you once again to Zendure for sponsoring this video, and also want to say thank you to all of those of you who support me on Patreon. If you'd like to find out more about the Patreon community I've set up, I'll put a link in the video description. Thank you so much.